Hi, thanks so much for joining me. I'm Danny from The Glittered Rose. You can find me under that name on Instagram and also over on Etsy. But you can find the links up in my link tree in my bio. Today I'm excited to share this art journal spread that I've made using tissue paper, which I stamped myself. I don't know about you guys, but when I go to use something that is rather expensive, I don't like using it. So I have some beautiful patterned or printed tissue paper in my craft collection, but I really don't like using it because it is expensive. So I thought I needed a good alternative. So I thought I will create my own backgrounds using tissue paper, and I show you how to do that in this video. The page also features texture and some watercolor techniques. It's just a really simple but effective spread that you can use using your own supplies and with your own style. I just try to drop some hints and inspiration on how you can use different supplies, just in case you need some inspiration along the way. Um, so I have a packet of plain tissue paper, which is perfect for backgrounds. It really melts onto the paper and is translucent. It's just perfect. Um, so if this is of any interest, please be sure to stick around, hit the like button, and let me know down below if you want to make your own background papers. All right, let's get into it. For this, I'm using the beautiful stamps from Stampers Anonymous, Tim Holtz. It's called Floral Outline, and I just love these flowers. They're really loose, sketchy flowers, which I think will really lend themselves to a background. So I've stamped them in ground espresso, archival. I love archival because it just dries so quickly. You don't need to worry about it not being dry. And so I'm just stamping 4 because I don't want to waste some of this paper. I'll save whatever I don't use in my art journal. So I'm just going to stamp this down. Yep, perfect. So this tissue paper that I'm using is from Dina Wakley. You get 50 sheets in it, and I think it only costs $16 from the Crafty Divas. It's fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to do it in my small art journal. I do love this art journal. It's from Stamperia, and I've nearly completed it. Whoops, I tore that a little bit. It doesn't matter. By the time it goes down, I'll be able to glue it back together. But to separate these images, I've run a wet paintbrush down them, and I'm just tearing them along that wet line, and that just helps them tear. Probably should have used a bit more water, but oh well. Oh, I love these stamps. I just think they're so beautiful. I think that's going to look really nice. Now I'm just auditioning where I want to pop things. I think depending on where you put things, it can either draw your eye towards the center or outwards. So I want it to be drawn inwards. Just gonna take off some of this excess. It doesn't matter if it overlaps. I'll just use a little bit of sandpaper and sand it off. Okay, so I've grabbed out some matte medium to glue these down. I thought that matte medium will be good because it's quite light. And this tissue paper is nice and light. So the great thing with tissue paper is that it just disappears. So if I painted a background, you'd be able to see the background through it, but it's also just going to melt into this paper. Hmm. Can't say I'm having much luck with this matte medium. Pop on a bit more. It also adds a little bit of texture. You can have it as wrinkly or as smooth as you want. I like it with a little bit of wrinkles left in it, so I'm going to leave some in. I'm not having much luck. I think I'm going to get out my collage medium. All right, let's see if this is better. I don't recommend matte medium for gluing down this tissue paper. We'll see if collage medium is better. And yep, of course it is. I do love this stuff. It just sticks down so quick. On second thoughts, I'm going to grab a piece of paper out and put that under. I just want to protect that page underneath. I don't want to glue my pages together. Just get this positioning right, and that looks good to me. For those who are new to my channel, I'm a mixed media artist from Australia, just in case you couldn't pick it by my accent. um, I love uh, different types of mixed media. So I love working in my art journals, but also love making tags and some mixed media cards. I really love sharing my passion for mixed media with people all over the world because I just think it's such a wonderful hobby to have. It's creative. There's no pressure. Everybody has their own sort of style and they do it the way that they want to do it. It's great method of self-expression. I also run a Facebook group called The Glittered Roses. The link is in my bio as well. We would love if you join us. We have monthly challenges. It's a very small group, but we are growing slowly. It's really lovely to get to know people from all over the world and share our artwork. We're a mix of people, so there's paper art. We're a paper artist group, so people do mixed media and there's some scrapbookers, some card makers. It's just a lot of fun. Okay, I want to have a little bit up in that top corner, so I'm just going to rip a little bit off. And of course, I'd rip the bit that I want to keep. Yep, that looks nice. Would have been much easier if I used a wet brush, but I do like this paper. It's a little thicker, so it's a bit harder to pull apart than other tissue paper, but it's nice. And it's nice and smooth to stamp on. All right, I'm going to glue this down and then I'll let it dry and I'll be back. Okay, so I have popped some drops of oxide spray onto my images And with a wet brush, I'm just loosely popping some colour on. I don't want it to look too like brush strokey or anything. I just want a little bit of colour on there, very loosely. So just going to paint that on just like I'm doing now. It's just a simple, relaxing sort of a technique. There's no pressure to get anything looking too realistic. Just loose so that it matches the stamps. It doesn't have to be oxide sprays. You can use any color medium. So you could use watercolor pencils, watercolor paints, acrylic paint, crayons or pencils. It doesn't matter. I'm just using some mowed lawn for the green now and just popping that color on. It's a background, so I'm not worrying too much. Okay, so I've got some antique linen and I'm just going around it with some color. Again, I'm just going to do it nice and loose. I'm not worrying too much. I think that this spread should be nice and simple. I don't want anything too much. I want to actually have some white space this time round. We'll see how we go. Speaking of white space, I know you can't see it much, but check out my desk. I finally cleaned my glass mat and it looks so good. I was a little embarrassed when I watched my last video and the state of my glass mat is just shocking. I know some people put down non-stick mats and things to glue and paint on, but you can probably tell from my desk I don't leave enough room for that. So that's nice. I like that. I'm going to dry this off and then we'll pick out our focal images. All right, I really love these strips from Ideaology, Tim Holtz. They are fantastic with their color matching. They just go really well. It sort of makes for a really easy collage. I just grab out some scissors. I'm liking my new spring action scissors from Tim Holtz. I think that they work really well. All right. It's sort of nice and easy to get things straight. It's quite a fine blade on them, so I'm just going to build some collages. You guys need to keep in mind that you don't need to use the exact same products that I have. You can buy some fantastic collage sets on Etsy and put them together. It's just how you want to build your collages or your focal points. They could be stamped images, they could be out of books. It doesn't matter. It's just how I am choosing to build this page. But you don't need to do that. I've decided I'm going to pop some crackle paste on these main images. I just like it. Just adds that little bit of texture and interest. All right, I'm going to scrape this on and then I'm going to build some clusters and then we'll go from there. And there goes my clean glass mat. I knew it wouldn't last long. Okay, so I've aged these with some vintage photo ink. I've also scrunched up those main images and gone over it with the ink. So that just adds a little bit more dimension, texture, and then when you can go over it with the ink, it picks up the creases, which I really like. I'm not sure how I want to build them. Um, I think it's too long, so I'll chop them off. I've just roughed up the edges with the blades of my scissors as well. They really do make for making a collage easy because everything matches. It's lazy, but it looks good. All right, I'm going to grab my spray box and some mummy, I think it's called mummy cloth from Tim Holtz's Halloween. It's a very loose fabric, like a bandage, but looser. And we'll spray that in the colours that I used in the background. Just using the spun sugar and the tea dye, and just going to wet that down, and then I'll mix it up in my fingers. That's something I really love about the Distress range, is that there are so many different options and then you can get them to match really well, so everything looks really cohesive. Um, I think it's a very clever range. I really want to get the Distress ink pads. I've got the oxides, but I don't have the normal just ink pads. So they're on my next wish list. All right, I'm going to dry this off and then we'll be back. I popped things together and they were just too big. So I'm going to pull everything apart and rebuild stuff. I really want some of that background to show, especially since this video is about using tissue paper for backgrounds. I don't want to cover up too much. I just want it fairly simple. I just used my mini attacher, which is just a mini staple, to pop them together. Because everything's crumpled and a little bit worn, it's not going to sit down flat, and I'm not going to be able to blend it into the page, but I don't want to. I want it to look like it's like almost a scrapbook that it's been stuck in. That's looking pretty good. Just tearing little bits and pieces and adding to it just until I think it looks right. And then I'll attach them all together and glue it in. This is how I like to work. I just take my time and build things and see how it looks and add to it or take it away. There's no hurry. I'm very mindful of your time, so I won't keep you watching this part. When I'm ready to glue it all down, I'll be back. Okay, so everything's glued down. I've glued down my mummy cloth using some hot glue, and I'm now melting some wax. So it's on the little furnace, and um, yeah, I'll do a wax melt. I'll just get the glue goobers off. And so this one is a cameo. I really thought that this was an interesting wax stamp, I guess they're called, because it's sort of oval. It's not round. And I thought for mixed media, it'll look really cool. And I really like the white. I think it'll add some brightness. So I'm going to do this one. And then my other one is a There's a very strange noise. My other one's a B. So I'll do my next one and I'll be back. We'll finish it up. Okay, so in the left-hand corner of that main focal image on the left-hand side, there's some thread that came off that mummy cloth, and I thought, was it waste not, want not? So I grouped it together and tucked it behind the focal image and glued it down, and I think it looks really cool. And so I'm just popping on some wording. And then I think we're pretty much done. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I think it's looking really nice how it is. I'm going to pop on a little bit of gesso. I just want to brighten it that little bit and just to tie in those white wax seals. Wax seals, not wax stamps. That's it. I knew stamps didn't sound right. Okay, so I'm just popping on a bit of white gesso just to brighten it up. These they're called stone paper that's in this Stamperia art journal. And while I absolutely love it, it is very yellow. So I think adding a bit of whiteness will sort of just help brighten it up a bit. And add a little bit of texture. I really do love texture. It's looking really nice. I wasn't sure when I got this little art journal how I would go because it is such a small form factor. But it's so much fun. I just love it. I think I'm going to dry this off and then we might call it done. And here we are all finished. It's rather a simple page, but I really do love how the tissue paper worked in the background. If you want to give tissue paper a go, I do suggest something like Dina Wakley's tissue paper. It's a little bit thicker than just the tissue paper that you get in the gift wrapping section, and I think that can also have a coating on it, so it might not tear or be quite as translucent as Dina's tissue paper. I love using my wax seals as embellishments, but you guys can use whatever you have. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Just go hop in and have fun. Thanks so much for watching. Please let me know down below what you think. Hit the like button and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I really appreciate everyone who watches and interacts with my videos. It means a lot. All right. Thanks, guys. Till next time. Bye for now.